far ahead. I mean, we'll see wherever his health is at the time. I mean, if he's healthy and wants to play in it, like, I don't see why we would hold him back.
So he's still coming back a little bit from the knee then?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want him going up. If he has any pain, turf, you know, I mean, we need to be smart with that.
With the situation in regards to Kiko Alonso, what went into your decision to play him and to not play him, and how did you think that the defense did without?
So here's what happened with that. We worked him out before the game. He wanted to go. A lot of us weren't really sure because he didn't look great. Like, it wasn't like he was this close. Like, there was still a little hobble and he looked a little stiff, and we didn't really have anybody else to put up. You know, we had a couple linemen that were healthy and Isaiah, and we just felt like if there was an emergency and we needed him to finish a game, then he was there. But we didn't think it was the right thing to do to put him in the game.
And I want to ask you about the growth that you've seen from Raekwon and Jerome. They've both had moments in games where they've looked pretty decent, but then they've also had issues where they've struggled, misfits, not exactly sticking to their assignment. What is the hope there that the seasons you've invested in them is going to do what?
Well, I think they've improved as years gone on. I can see Raekwon, his leadership has really showed up for us. The way he practices, the way he's played in games when things have gotten tough, he's been the guy that steps forward. Bake, I just think, is one of those guys, man. He just plays ball. You know, and there might be some times where maybe there's some undisciplined thing that he does, but he ends up making the play. You know, that's the fine line in defense sometimes, where you can go off the reservation slightly, but when you're fast and you're able to tackle, you can make up for that and you correct it. Then, you know, when you get to the sideline. But I do feel like those guys are trending in the right direction. I mean, those guys play as hard as you can ask guys to play.
You're at the end of year 3 here in your relationship with Ryan, and many ups and downs and injuries and so on. How would you describe your relationship with him at this point?
I mean, I think it's a good relationship between player coach. You know, I want him to have success. You know, I want him to do, you know, the things that he wants to accomplish individually, but as a team as well. You know, at that position, you take a lot of the bullets, you know, and sometimes you don't get all the credit when you might deserve it. You know, I think we've been so all over the place. Like, one game we'll do well on offense and then we'll just be non-existent one game. And, you know, that's where it could help at the quarterback position. Sometimes you make an off-schedule play, you do something where it just kind of sparks the rest of the group. And sometimes we have that, sometimes we don't. And, you know, I think this whole last couple of years, it's like we're healthy, then we miss the season, then we get him back, we play well in a couple games, and we had a couple rough games, then he gets hurt, and then he's out 5 weeks, and then comes back, plays pretty good, and then we've had a couple rough games of late.
Is it the rough patch? Is it in some ways make the relationship stronger? Is that where the bonding really happens?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, you're under fire all the time. I mean, you're a hard, between the head coach and the quarterback, you're not missed. You know, everybody knows where you are, what you're doing, and how you're handling things.
I guess he was new. Teams that blocked Courage Ward guy today. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm watching him come back from that knee injury, and I mean, he was excited to get out there and get going this season. I mean, put everything, whatever he had, he gave it. You know, and to see him come back and look good, moving around, running, all those things, there was just no limitations.
What's the next step for Ryan next season?
You know, the biggest thing is just stay healthy. You know, I mean, and you know, it's hard for me to get too down with the injury he had against Cincinnati, because, you know, he was loading back to throw the ball down the field, and the guy, he got him right in a bad spot, and that's what got him for that period of time. So, and then we always just have to keep working on pocket, anticipation, getting the ball out on time, making sure how do you avoid, when things aren't going right, how do you avoid adding to that mistake? You know, and I think we've had some games when we've done that, some games that we haven't.
As far as health, 30 years old, 3 injury interrupted seasons. Are the odds what are the odds that he will have a healthy season?
Kirk, I'm not a great odds maker, but I just know when I got here, it was he never misses a game, he hasn't missed any snaps, and then it's flipped really fast. You know.
I want to ask you about, a lot of people are making an issue about you sitting on the sidelines while the defense is playing to draw up or script up or look at film. One, it's not something that people generally see from head coaches. What are you trying to get accomplished there? And
Well, it just depends where we are in the game. I mean, just remember, like, it's not hard to see. I'm on the headsets with the defense. I can hear everything. I can see what's going on. Like, there's pretty big screens on the field. Like, it's not like I can't see anything. I hear everything going on. You know, a lot of the times I'm trying to get the next series ready so I can tell those guys, like, here's what's coming. Here's what I'm thinking going into the next series. You know, and then just trying to make sure I'm aware of what they're doing on the other sideline of, hey, here's what they're doing down and distance-wise, here's what they're doing personnel-wise. Because you go through all those pictures and you get a feel of, like, how they're calling the game. And that's important to play calling.
Adam, can you talk about the positives and negatives of spying?
I'm not the only one that does that now. I mean, the guy in LA does it a lot, and they're all right.
Can you talk about the positives and negatives of like spying on a quarterback and the challenges of keeping Josh Allen in the pocket? Because he got out of the pocket, obviously, a lot in the last game.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's good when you have somebody that can actually catch him when he escapes the pocket. And the only thing that it can hurt you in is you have one less rusher. So you're really taking a guy out, or one less guy in coverage. If you're using a linebacker and he's sitting in the middle, he's just watching him, and all of a sudden guys start running across the field, and he's not paying attention to that stuff. And so you lose a guy in coverage where you can take some things away. And if you get in that whole quarterback spy game, you don't have that.
but didn't you guys have a spy last game? And
Yeah, I mean, every call is different. It's not like you go, hey, this call or every call is going to be with a spy. Like, you're not going to do that. If you're pressuring, you know, you're going to have guys in certain zones. But, you know, a lot of times when teams are in man-to-man coverage, that's when you see it because that's when they can do the most damage.
Do they have any design runs for him, or is it mostly?
I mean, most of them were drop back, everybody's running out of there, and then we let them get out of the pocket.
Getting back to what you were saying to Omar about obviously Pay does it, and it seems like defensive is not the right word, but you want to make clear that there's not too much on your plate, call plays, and still run a game as well.
No.
Is there anything that you can
We haven't had a lot of mismanagement of games. I mean, we got a lot of people that are involved in game day management. I mean, I just have to make the decision. Yeah, we're talking through stuff all the time.
Is there anything you've learned then about how to manage your time on a Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, it slows down the more you do it. You know, year one now is, I can't even imagine if I went back and was able to watch myself in year one compared to now. I mean, it was probably a nightmare in year one.
The video's pretty good.
Adam, what did you think about your running game this year, and how were you able to use it the way you wanted to use it?
I think we've been a little, I mean, it's like almost everything. It's been so inconsistent where one game it feels like we're really getting some good explosive plays. We're blocking guys well. Guys are executing things well. And then some games where it was like last week, it just felt like we could never get to that second level. It always felt like it was at the line, and then we'd enter the line of scrimmage, and a lot of times we'd squirt out of there, but that wasn't happening. They did a really good job. It just felt like they just kept bottling everything up. Even when we try to move outside sometimes, then we'd get pushback. Now the backs kind of get cut off. We try to cut up the field. You know, and now it's -1 or 2 yards. It's just it hasn't been as consistent as you want it to be.
Was it effective in getting you to play action?
It was. I mean, we had some good stuff in play action. You know, the one time, unfortunately, that they covered everybody. You know, Ryan didn't have anywhere to go with the ball. I hate to say this, but we probably should have just took a sack there, which I'm sure at that point, you know, he'd been sacked quite a bit, and he's trying to make a play in that point in the game, which we just can't throw a pick six there.
But all season, has it been a good
It's
enough?
been sometimes it's good, some teams it's good against, some teams it's not. Some teams do a good job of getting out of there on play action and getting in the windows.
You were happy with Frank Gore, and especially his first day. Seemed like, I think 62% of his carries were in first down.
Yeah, Frank helped us a lot. So, I mean, our third downs were shorter. I wish we could have used that to our advantage. I think when Frank touched the ball on first or second down, we were like 3rd and 6. If he didn't, we were like 3rd and 9. Like, Frank just has an ability, and it's one of the reasons why he's one of the leading rushers ever, is there might be nothing there, and all of a sudden you're like 2nd and 6, 2nd and 5, and then it's 3rd and 2. You know, Frank just he could get something out of nothing.
Talk about year 1 to year 3 for you. Does that learning curve change over time? Is year 3 to year 5 going to be the same kind of thing, or do you think?
Yeah, I mean, every game you go into, you learn a ton of stuff. There's something that it's the same thing I tell the players. I'm like, there's 10 things you come out of the game of, and you're like, okay, that happened. There's things that come up you may have never seen yourself. Maybe you've seen somebody else happen to somebody else, and kind of be like, well, what would I do in that situation? So, you know, when you start seeing things live and it's happening fast, and you got 40 seconds or less to try to make a decision and make the right one. I mean, it moves pretty quick.
How important is this for you, the coaching staff, the players collectively, to just put away last Sunday and last Monday and look forward to the last game?
I mean, that's what we talk. It's the same mindset going in every week. Is you start fresh, and your goal is to win one game. I mean, our goal is to go on the road and win a game and try to finish the right way in the division overall record. You know, because 8-8 sounds a lot better than 7-9. I know that. Just like last year, 7-9 sounded a lot better than 6-10. So, I mean, we're focused on that, and I feel like the guys did a really good job at practice today, and it's good to see them flying around and enjoying being out there. And, I mean, they just know it's the last week that this team will be together. I mean, it'll never be the same.
I want to ask you about the running game. Obviously, it's going to be an adjustment without Frank, but why can't you, I guess, get those sustained early runs, or why couldn't you? Maybe it was Jacksonville's defense, get those sustained early runs in first and second down like last week.
I mean, what were they, 6th in defense? I mean, it was a tough defense to run against. You know, we tried to stay, or at least I tried, play calling wise, to stick with the run game, because I didn't want to get in one of those deals where now Jalen Ramsey starts getting a little nosy, and we get some kind of issue where he jumps one and gambles because he can. And we were trying to stay consistent with that, getting 3rd and shorter situations. The penalties killed us, because we were 2nd and 20, 2nd and 15. When that happens, it's hard to recover from that stuff. I mean, think about, especially over the last 3 years, how many times did we recover from a negative play on first or second down to convert on third down? It's rare. You know, you really have to do a lot of things right the next 2 downs.
I guess final question for me. Devontae Parker, he's kind of been present but not really productive. Is that injury? Is that practice performance? Is that a chemistry issue?
I feel like he's practiced probably as good as I've seen him practice over the last 3 years, like his speed, detail of what he's doing. And for some reason, when we're getting to the game, I don't know if he's trying to be too perfect and it's slowing him down. I feel like we have routes sometimes where he knows cold, and then I'll see what I see at practice. And, you know, it's just one of those things, just cut it loose. Don't worry about making a mistake if you do. Like, it's the quarterback's job to find you and put the ball on you and then go make a play after the catch.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, guys.